What is up, everybody? Welcome to No Room for Comfort. I am your host, Jesse Waterhouse, and I want to thank all of you for joining me here tonight. On tonight's episode, I am going to be talking about why it is important to pursue a dream or to have goals ahead of you or to find a purpose. So it's a very important topic to me, and I can't wait to get into it. But first, if you're here with me right now, I am streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. I also have a Discord chat, No Room for Comfort podcast Discord chat up if you'd like to join in on there. And if you have any questions or suggestions for this episode or future episodes, you can email me at noroomforcomfortpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you would like to be a call-in guest in the future, again, email me at noroomforcomfortpodcast@gmail.com, and I would love to have that discussion with you. No Room for Comfort podcast is a podcast dedicated to topics related to personal growth, self-worth, self-confidence, or anything positive you may be experiencing in life. So without further ado, let's get into episode 6. Now this episode, it's going to be about pursuing dreams, or to have a dream in mind, or, to the importance of having a purpose in front of you. And I kind of wanted to go with this episode freehand to talk about some of my experiences or things that I felt, basically because, this is kind of an episode where I just kind of wanted to talk it out. It's not something that you can really just do research on and, basically talk factually about research-based things when it comes to, finding a purpose in life. So for me, growing up, I had a dream in mind, and it all started, when I went to my first concert with friends of mine. I saw artists up on stage creating music, creating an atmosphere in the room, an environment in the room that was unlike anything I've ever felt. Now, by that time, I had already been playing guitar, and I've already been dabbling quite a bit in music, and just seeing it happen on a professional standpoint, professional level, it lit a fire within me. I felt like I want to be doing that someday. I want to be on stage. I want to make people around me feel the way I'm feeling right now by expressing my message and performing this way. So, as I got older, I eventually found a point in my life where I got together with some guys and I was like, you know what? I feel this way about it. And everyone that was in that group was like, we've also felt this way. So we set goals for each other, started writing our own music, and we eventually got to that place to where we were playing on stages that we saw our favorite artists play on. And it was the most amazing experiences of my life. And, even if it's considered a hobby to you, even if it's not something that you're getting paid greatly for, but you're really enjoying the experience, that's still a dream that you can accomplish, There are people out there that have dreams of doing things that cost them money because they're a hobby, but they dream of, build it. Let's say I want to build this great canoe. I've never built a canoe before. I dream of being on the water in a canoe. I've always rented them or had them that I bought, but I really like to make my own and get into the craftsmanship of the woodwork. And they do it, and they set out. The first time that they set out on the river on that canoe must be just a great feeling. That's a purpose. That's a dream. So dreams and purpose don't always pertain to a financial standpoint. And that's a very important thing. There are people out there, so there's a very small percentile of people out there who develop a career and going to work every day does not feel like a job to them. They're just so passionate about what they do. They feel so great about what they do that it ends up becoming the highlight of every day. They can't wait to do it again. But unfortunately, that's in the very small percentile of people. There are a lot of people that go to work every day, and the job itself is a formality, right? The job is a purpose in itself, but it is a precursor to what the real purpose is. Say you have a purpose that year or a dream that year of going to Italy on vacation to Italy with your family. And you work hard for the money it takes to go on that dream vacation of yours, but you save it up and you go. That job was a precursor to that vacation. Even though maybe it's not your dream job, maybe it's not the most passionate thing that you could ever think of doing, but it led to some of the most passionate moments of your life. So then you can reflect back on the job that you have been doing, thus giving you purpose in what you're doing. And it's not easy for a lot of us, to try and go and grind every day and not have something to really look forward to. So if you're going to work every day and you kind of feel like you're slaved out, that everything around you or everything that you're paying for owns you, well, you still should set a goal in mind. If you're miserable at work, the obvious suggestion would be to try and find work that you weren't quite as miserable in. If you're stuck in a rut where all these financial things are such a problem and you've cut back as far as you can, it really isn't easy. But to take a step back and look at the scope of things and figure out exactly what you need to do to get to where you need to go is going to be a very important thing. And don't miss opportunities that arise. If you have an opportunity to do something better, normally, you have to look for them. They don't just come to you. Typically, you have to work yourself to a point to where you get to that. And then you can take the opportunity that has been given to you. I say given to you, but I mean that you have found. Going back to it again. So what would be the purpose in your life if you feel like you're surrounded in things that own you? Well, if it's tough to let certain things go, there have been sayings in Stoicism that would tell you letting go of something that you didn't think you ever could become one of the best things in your entire life. So let's say you have this house and you don't really need to be in such a large house. You're paying this much for it. If you're able to downsize it, get into something different, maybe not your ideal home, maybe the home you're in, you really like the home you're in. But you know what? You can build a home later. You can keep that in mind. You can buy a home later. I know in this economy, very difficult to try and say something like that, but it's not impossible. But if you're beaten down by everything around you, what really is that house worth? If you come home every day exhausted without a sense of purpose, maybe it's time to let it go. Maybe it's time to learn to let it go. There have been moments in my life where I felt that way about certain things, and, it isn't easy. But once you have let them go and you found peace of mind, those things that you thought you would miss so much, they start to fade away. You tend to not miss them as much. And then what can you do with that free space that you have? Well, it opens up a level of mentality where you lack the stress, or you lack the anxiety, or you lack the depression that holds you back from finding one thing and focusing on it and making it your one true passion. I'd beckon to fear that there are people out there who may not even have a hobby to pick up, or don't currently have a hobby to pick up. They don't really see much around them besides work, go home, work, go home, work, go home, work, go home, but then you get trapped in something. And then it typically leads to an area in your life where you're not quite as motivated to do anything at all. And that's a frightening situation. So I believe that everyone out there has something that they really love doing. Just start doing it. If you love to write, well, you can get a fairly inexpensive computer, and you can pick that up. You can get a Word document program, and you can start writing. If you really love writing, if it gives you peace, pick it up and start doing it. Maybe it'll become a masterpiece. Maybe one day you'll have a published book, published author, and it'll be something to be proud of, something that gave you purpose. Or maybe you love to paint. Really dive into it. But the thing that I will stress the most about, if you have any of these ideas, these dreams that you wish to pursue, any of these motivations that you wish to pursue or purposes that you wish to pursue, don't linger on them and just kind of don't come at them with an inaction. So what I mean is, don't think about the idea and toss it around and be like, yeah, get excited for one moment and then come into it 100%. And then a few months later, you hit a snag or something happens or you fall out of the routine that you're in and you don't ever get back into it. And you let that flame die. Or something happens to where it was frustrating that day to actually do it because other things came up or plans changed or failed or whatever have you. Try and look at it as like, no matter what you're going to do, even if you're very passionate about something, you are going to find obstacles in your way. You're going to find moments about that are going to be very difficult, but good. Because with those difficulties, you learn a lot. Sometimes the best moments in writing, sometimes the best moments in music making come at a point to when you're at one of your most difficult times. Some of the greatest breakthroughs people have had are when their mind tells them that they really don't want to do it today. And so, that might lead someone to ask the question, well, if you're truly passionate about something and you have a true purpose in something that you're doing, well, why on earth do you have those moments where you may not feel like doing it? I have to think about it for a moment because that is a very good question. That's something that I've done to myself where the motivation just kind of fell off a cliff and I told myself that day that I really didn't want to do it. Well, I think that's nature. I think that's the nature of people because we get to points to where we're pretty tired. We feel like we want to take a breather. We want to take a break on something that we're doing. We want to slow down a little bit. Now, it is okay. It's okay to recognize that. And it's okay to actually take a break from it. And just about every case that has happened to me in, taking that step back was a realization of something. It was a realization that I actually needed to have moments of mindfulness so I could think about the inspiration that drew me to that place in the first place. So it's a break from the autopilot of your passion to jump into a new inspiration for it. Take music in my case, for example. I've had moments where we played strings of shows and shows and shows. So it's practice and show and practice and show. And we did a little bit of writing, the really creative, fun stuff. And then we skip a couple practices because we had so many shows and life going on that everyone just needed family breaks or just breaks in general. And then the next practice comes up and you kind of remember those string of shows that you were on, how fun they were, but also the amount of effort it took to get to that place to be on stage and perform and to work and to work and to work. And it almost seems like a little bit of that fun of the passion is kind of left behind you. And in my mind, I would tell myself, I don't know if I want to go back on that grind. But then I realized, like if we do step into the studio tomorrow, it's going to give me a chance to pick my guitar up, or for us to pick our instruments up and to actually come up with something creative. So maybe I'll mention that at the start of practice. Let's just start with something. Let's just play and see what comes out. And with that feeling of almost not wanting to do it, to jumping into it, and then starting it off with the inspiration that I realized I needed to think about, they ended up becoming some of the best practices we've ever had. They ended up becoming some of the best songs we ever wrote. So I do believe that even if you have a passion for something, that area of mindfulness, that area of relaxation, and stepping back every once in a while invigorates inspiration in whatever you're passionate about, in whatever dream you're trying to pursue. There are times where I felt quite the opposite, where I couldn't get enough of it. And this all stems from the biology of how we view momentum, or how we view motivation, because there are a couple of things that are intertwined. So you'll have motivation, and I see motivation as an area we're entering where it has peaks and it has valleys. Peaks and has valleys. So there's a median to it where you feel content with the way things are going, or you're super excited about doing the project, or you're not motivated at all to do the project. Well, what's intertwined with that? Well, that's discipline. That's even if you don't want to do it, you do it anyway. But it doesn't mean you can't recognize when you need to take a step back. Sometimes you could be trying to say your passion is to draw something, or let's say your passion is to write. But then there are writers out there, pretty much every writer that loves to write and does it regularly. There'll come a time where they have writer's block, where they'll think they have an idea, or they want to have an idea about something that they want to write, and they're at the starting point, and then they just can't get anywhere. They can't start it the way that they hoped they could start it. Well, sometimes maybe it's a good idea to take a step back. Take a step back, have some mindfulness, take some time to really think about nothing at all. Because in those moments, sometimes that inspiration can just jump at you. Sometimes just noticing your surroundings. Go take a walk. Even if you don't want to do it that day, but you decide you do because you decide to go on a walk, and you see something or you experience something that just leads to that inspiration. And you come back in, and now the words are just flowing onto the page like a waterfall. Step back doesn't need to be a month. It doesn't need to be a week. It doesn't need to be even a day. It could just be moments. And that could be crucial too. The point I'm trying to get to is, even with a passion, or even with the pursuit of a purpose, you are going to run into areas or times in your life where you're not going to want to feel like doing whatever it is you're passionate about. Sometimes they're in the form of distractions. Distractions may pull you away and make you not want to do that, because whatever distraction came your way ended up being overly stressful, or is just the hardest day you've had in a long, long time. So you really just need to let it all settle, let the dust clear. But it's very important to have a pursuit of purpose. Because I believe that in our society, if we don't pursue a purpose, our mental fortitude starts to degrade. Well, it's hard to say that word. Your mind wasn't designed. Your mind wasn't designed to not look for a way to survive. But also, the human mind is complex in a way and has adapted in a way to want to pursue a purpose. And I believe the root of that, in my opinion, has to do with survival. Getting to the best place a person possibly can in their mind is a purpose. And getting to the best possible place that you can provides things like a person being able to be a provider, a person being able to overcome. Because the pursuit of dreams and the pursuit of a purpose are going to give you hardships. And with those hardships, it's going to hardwire your mind into being able to look for solutions to problems that help you survive. I think that's the tribal, deep down side of the human mind when it comes to pursuing things that you're passionate about, pursuing a dream or pursuing a purpose. Because if you're living purposely, are you even living at all? Some would argue that you're not. Some would argue, well, if you look hard enough, even that is a purpose. And, I'll leave that up to you guys, whether or not you think something like that is a purpose, to be just content with everything and just let everything float and coast along. It's great for some people. There's some people that have families that all they do is their purpose is their family. And to some others, it looks like they're just moving along without a purpose in their life. But if you really pay attention and you listen to them, who do they talk about? They talk about their children and their wives or their husbands. And all of that comes full circle. And if you really think about it, you're like, you know what? That is their purpose. The reason why they're here. Even though it may not be the most enjoyable thing. But when they come back from a weekend and they tell you everything that they did with their family, well, that whole week that they were there at work was all for what they were able to do for their family. Christmas holiday is coming up. Stressful time for many, many people. But at the same time, so many people look forward to it because they have their families. And it's the one time out of the year where we really get together with our families and spend some quality time with our families and are able to show true gratitude and appreciation in a unique way. So although as stressful as it is, everyone at the same time looks forward to it because there's a purpose around doing it. Mundane of the look of the rest of the year led to this moment in some people's eyes. So family being the purpose. And there's people who have given a lot of thought to what they really want to be and what they really want to do. And there's a lot of people who I feel, although giving a lot of thought to it, still feel incomplete. They still feel like they're lost. That they really don't know what gives them purpose. Well, and that's where I go back to inaction being one of the worst things. Well, someone might ask, how am I supposed to take action on something if I don't know at all what it is I like to do? Well, if you throw enough shit at the wall, something ought to stick. So what I would say, in my opinion, if I were feeling that way, I would just try something out. I would think of something like, maybe it doesn't even have to be something I'm passionate about. I don't know if I'm passionate about it because I've never tried it, but you know what? That sounds interesting. I think I'm going to take up skiing. I'm going to give it a try. Now, with something like skiing, you have to be a little bit patient because it takes technique and it takes time. But if you enjoy being outside, well, you enjoy being outside. There are a plethora of things that you can choose to be outside doing. Maybe you want to be a hiker. Maybe you want to hit every national park in your state. There's a purpose right there. It's something you could do. Pick up some golf clubs, go golfing. So many different things a person can do that you can look forward to doing and do it and stick to it. If you want it to be productive or income pursuing, that will take a lot of effort, but you can do it. It will take a lot of work, but you can do it. But everything worth doing is going to take a lot of effort. If you're just starting out with it, you're not going to be good at it right away. Normally. There aren't too many prodigies out there. But if you can stick with it and learn to enjoy it, maybe great things can come of it. But if you just sit there and you think and you think and you think and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what really makes me happy. I don't know what to pursue. What is there? What is there? Try something. Try something. If you spend a month doing it and it makes you absolutely miserable, don't continue to do it. You don't have to keep doing something that makes you miserable because you think you're going to like it someday. But if you can relate something to something that you enjoy, so like me, before I picked up a guitar, I enjoyed listening to music. I enjoyed the sound of the guitar, so I was like, that's the one I'm going to pick. And I stuck with it for over 20 years because I love it so much. But I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it. At first, it took so much patience. Ungodly amount of patience. Because I heard my favorite guitar parts, favorite guitar riffs, and I wanted to be that good like right off the bat. That's that whole instant gratification thing that seems to run prevalent in today's society. But I recognize, there has to be delayed gratification in this because I'm not going to be great. I'm not going to be great before the next 10 years, most likely. And it took at least that long. So, I grew to enjoy music relating to, by finding something that related to. I enjoyed writing music by finding something that related to writing music that I haven't yet tried. So, if you love being outdoors, you're pretty much set. There are so many different things that you can choose. If you're into hunting or fishing, those are related to outdoors. There's a lot of people who are very passionate about hunting in the state I live in. They set up cameras everywhere. They get everything ready to go. They get all fancy with their stands. They, pick out the perfect weapon and they sight it in and they can't wait to use it and they can't wait for this or for that. And they're looking at their cameras leading up to it. And it's just like 2 weeks out of the year. I'm so excited to do this. I look forward to it all year. Gives them purpose. And it's satisfying too when you can harvest because then you've brought home food for your family. So it's just one example. There's so many. If there's a career, if something's related to your career, what you're doing now, but you'd like to expand on something, you have options. You can talk to people around your organization and say, hey, I'm really interested in doing this. I think I could be very good at doing this. I have a sense of where I'd feel passionate about it. Give me a try. If you get the opportunity to try and you really end up loving it, you can step into a different part. Or you can level up your career and get to where you want to go if you work hard enough for it and network with the right people. Or, you could have an idea in mind where you want to go back to school for something because you feel, I'm doing this right now and it's kind of just a job. But I feel like I really want to help people. So, I want to help people in the healthcare field and help make people feel better. So you go back to school for nursing, and then you jump into nursing. You're really passionate about your job. That's another way to find that purpose. As long as you keep going with action. If you have inaction in these aspects of your life, you are going to be overwhelmed with stress. Inaction creates more stress than anything else. Inaction causes thoughts to pile up more than anything. People might think, I'm not getting anywhere, so all of these things in my life are piling up. Well, in reality, they aren't necessarily piling up. They're just staying the same. You're kind of staying in the same place. Nothing's piling up. It's just pooling there. And it's just staying the same. But if you take action, things will change. And for a lot of people, change is scary. But for a lot of people, that change is necessary to get them to a place to where they're much happier. And for people who take inaction, all that stuff staying right there, well, the thoughts in your mind grow and grow and grow. Especially if you're the type of person who has a desire to find a true purpose, to try and be something greater for yourself and for your family. Inaction is a real bother. It causes so many problems with people on a mental level. Some people absolutely need to go 100% all the time. Otherwise, it just drives them nuts. And for those people, I implore them to take action. There's people who will be overthinkers who don't take action. And they kind of just stay where they're at. And then they get to the end of their lives and they have so many regrets because they didn't do the things that they thought about, all the while staying stagnant. I believe there's always a path for somebody who wants to pursue passions, pursue dreams. There is always a path. Whatever you have to do to find it, find it. And that is something that people could debate. Some people could debate that really there are spots that people are in where they can't get to that point in their life. Well, maybe not immediately, but the human mind is very resilient, and a lot of people can put things together that lead them towards that just by merely having the mentality and then taking action. Having the mentality, then taking action can get them to where they want to go. Yeah, it's actually incredible when you start putting those things together. So if you're one of the ones out there who feel like you're lost, because trust me, I've been there before. I've been in a position where I really didn't know. I've been in a position where I'd sit there and I'd think, and I'm like, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to be? Who do I really want to be? What's going to make things better? What's going to make things change? And then I would come up with the answer, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I thought, what is the core reason behind all of these questions? And the core reason for me was, I just want to help people. I just see the state of things in general that make me want to help people. I've had an interest in biology. I've had an interest in psychology. And I've had experiences with ups and downs and how the downs really feel. And I've experienced being selfish enough to where I would cut people out from the satisfaction or the gratification of actually being able to help me out because I felt like I needed to do it on my own because I was a burden. And then when I came to realize that I'm taking something away from people if I don't allow them to be there for me when I needed someone to be there for me, and seeing how they felt when they helped, it drove something in me to want to put a plan together so that I could actually be out there to help people. And that's the type of thing you can do to find a purpose. But then you get to the state where you're like, how can I help people? How can I help people? Okay, I help people at work. I'll help people at work. But I help them with work tasks. I help them with what's expected. What I want to help people with is with people who tend to feel some of the same ways that I do, and some that have different viewpoints than I do, but are going through experiences like they feel lost or stuck, and they're not exactly sure to do what to do about finding a purpose. So I try to do my best to get in front of a camera and a microphone and just tell people what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, and hopefully it helps them. So with all of this in focus, and whatever you take away from this, just know that if you're feeling lost, you're feeling down, you're feeling like you're not sure exactly what to do, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do to yourself is to sit around and to think and not take action on something. Find something that you think is moderately interesting and find a relatable goal or a relatable pursuit to whatever it is you're thinking and give it a try. That's the first step. Because that could, even if it turns out that that's not the thing you want to do, it can lead to a formation of thought. It creates neurological paths that allow you to think of different things now. Like, okay, that wasn't quite it, but I'm getting somewhere. Even though that wasn't it, maybe I'll try this. And if you'll stumble upon something that you really love doing, and you're going to just stick with it. I assure you. I believe every one of us has that in us. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this episode. I appreciate everyone joining me on this episode today. I stream live on YouTube and Twitch. I am on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Please like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions about this episode or suggestions for a future topic, email me at noroomforcomfortpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to be a call-in guest on this show, again, email me at noroomforcomfortpodcast@gmail.com, and I would love to have that conversation with you. But yeah, this has been episode 6. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.